Welcome to the deep dive. So you're putting a lot into your press release campaigns, right? I mean, it's serious stuff. Time, people, actual money for distribution. And the big question, the one we hear all the time, is just, well, is it actually working? You know that feeling? Sending something big out there and just hoping we want to get rid of that.
Yeah, it's that classic PR problem, isn't it? Doing stuff versus actually getting results. So many places just see press releases as something you have to do, a box to tick. Not really as something that drives the business forward in a way you can, measure. And if you're not measuring ROI, return on investment, you're basically flying blind. Worse, you're probably wasting resources because you can't fine-tune what you don't track. So our mission today, give you the full playbook. We're going to talk about how to turn those campaigns from, let's say, guesswork into a real strategic asset, all backed by solid data, making that budget make sense.
Okay, so let's dig into that definition then. ROI for a press release.
Yeah.
It's got to be more than just simple math, right? Like not just spent X, made Y.
Exactly. That's really the key starting point. ROI here is, well, it's got layers. You figure it out by looking at the total value you got back versus everything you put in. And you need to be pretty strict about what counts as put in. Think tangible costs, distribution fees, writing, maybe design work, but also, and this is critical, the time. Your team's time spent writing, managing it, following up. That all counts. Fully allocated costs.
Right. Okay, so that's the investment part. What about the return? Because that's where it gets a bit fuzzy with the intangibles, yeah?
Right.
The stuff that's hard to pin a dollar amount on.
Precisely. The return side covers the obvious things, the tangible stuff. Website traffic, leads coming in, maybe more sales calls right away. But then there are those intangible benefits too, like boosting your brand's reputation, becoming known as a thought leader, or even just building better relationships with journalists. The real challenge is how do you sort of measure those, put a value on them?
Yeah, how do you do that? Measuring something like reputation feels a bit like guesswork. Are we just like picking a number?
No, not quite. But you do need what we call proxy metrics. So let's say your goal is thought leadership. You could measure maybe the shift in positive sentiment online about your brand after the release. Or count how many times your CEO gets quoted as an expert afterwards. These things might not lead to a sale tomorrow morning, but they definitely influence people down the line, It broadens the impact way beyond just a click.
Okay. So the ROI isn't just one thing. It's coming from all these different impacts the press release has. Getting media coverage, sure, but also building SEO links, boosting credibility, all happening at once.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really crucial point. Your goals drive your metrics. What you're trying to achieve with the press release totally dictates how you measure success.
Makes sense.
So if your main goal is drumming up investor interest for funding, then success looks like getting coverage in top financial news outlets, maybe tracking mentions from specific VCs. But if you're launching a new product, different game entirely.
Right. Then you'd be looking at, what? Sales inquiries, conversion rates from the announcement.
Precisely. You'd focus on leads generated, maybe demo requests that came directly from people clicking links in the coverage. Completely different set of priorities.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical. You can't measure any of this if you haven't clearly defined what success looks like before you start. We need that roadmap.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the SMART framework specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. People know it, but maybe don't always apply it rigorously.
That's often the case. It sounds simple, but doing it well takes discipline. It's about eliminating vagueness. So S for specific. Instead of just saying, get more media coverage, you'd say something concrete like secure placements in 5 specific industry publications, the ones with domain authority over 70. Very clear target.
An M for measurable. What's a common trap here? Just picking a big number.
Yeah, or focusing on vanity metrics that don't really matter, like just counting impressions. A good measurable goal is something like generate 500 qualified leads. But importantly, you need a solid internal definition of qualified. What does that actually mean for your sales team?
Okay, then A for achievable. This needs a dose of reality, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You have to be honest about your resources and current standing. If you're a startup that's never had national press aiming for the front page of the New York Times with your first release, well, that's probably not achievable.
So start smaller, regional, trade press.
Exactly. Build momentum, set targets you can realistically hit based on where you are now.
And are for relevant. This feels like where PR absolutely has to sync up with the overall business strategy.
100%. If the company's big push is expanding into, say, Germany, then your PR goals need to reflect that. Target German media, track traffic from Germany, measure metrics tied to that market entry. It has to support the bigger picture.
Makes sense. And finally, T for time-bound. Gotta have a deadline.
Or it just drifts, right? Increase website traffic by 25%. Okay, by when? These are specific.
Sure.
Within 30 days of the press release distribution. Then creates accountability.
Okay, smart goals set. But you could have the smartest goals in the world and still mess up the measurement if you don't know where you started. That baseline, you mentioned it earlier, it sounds absolutely critical.
Non-negotiable. Seriously, if you skip establishing your baseline, you have no idea if your campaign actually caused the changes you're seeing. It's like trying to measure how fast someone ran a race, but you didn't see where they started. Impossible.
Right. So before hitting send on that release, what specific things do we absolutely need to measure and write down? Give us the checklist.
Okay, essentials for your pre-campaign snapshot. First, current monthly website traffic. And break it down. How much is organic search? How much is referral traffic? From where? Second, your social media numbers. Follower counts, yes, but more importantly, engagement rates. Likes, shares, comments per post on average. Third, media mentions. How many times was your brand mentioned in the last 30 or 60 days? Where? Was it positive, negative, neutral? And fourth, your SEO baseline. What's your current domain authority? What does your backlink profile look like?
That's pretty comprehensive. What tools are essential for digging up all that historical data? You can't just guess.
No guessing. You need the right tools. Google Analytics is your go-to for website traffic history. It's the standard. For tracking past and ongoing media mentions and getting a feel for sentiment, you need a media monitoring platform. Think Meltwater, Mention, Cision. There's several good ones. And for the SEO side domain authority, backlinks, you'll use tools like Ahrefs, SRush, or Moz. The key is gathering all this before the campaign launches. Put it in a dashboard so you have that clear before picture.
Okay, goal set, starting line clearly marked. We hit send. Now what? What are the specific data points, the key categories we need to track religiously to see if this thing is actually delivering ROI?
Right now we shift into monitoring mode, and we focus on 4 main categories. First up, media mentions and sentiment analysis. Track the number of pickups, sure, but quantity isn't everything. Quality matters more. Where did you get mentioned? Was it a top-tier outlet or just a wire service reprint? And critically, what was the sentiment? Positive, negative, neutral?
Because one really bad article in a major paper can undo a lot of small wins, right?
Exactly. Sentiment is huge. A glowing piece in an industry-leading journal is worth far more than 50 neutral mentions on obscure sites. This is also where you might calculate something called earned media value, or EMV.
EMV, explain that quickly.
Basically, it's an estimate. What would that media placement have cost if you'd paid for it as advertising? It's not a perfect science, but it helps put a kind of dollar figure on the publicity value, which stakeholders often like to see.
Okay, got it. Mentions and sentiment quality over quantity. What's category number 2?
Number 2 is website traffic, but not just overall traffic. You need to zero in on referral traffic, specifically coming from links in your press release coverage. Track unique visitors, page views, sure. But look deeper. What's the bounce rate from those visitors? How long do they stay on your site?
So you're looking at traffic quality, not just volume. If they click and immediately leave, that's not great.
Precisely. High bounce rates mean the audience wasn't finding what they expected, or the article didn't prime them correctly. Low quality traffic, even if it's a lot of it.
Okay. Traffic quality leads nicely into the third category, which must be about engagement, how people react.
You got it. Engagement metrics. This is about the audience response. On social media, that means tracking likes, shares, comments, retweets on posts about the news, or linking to coverage. Is the message resonating enough for people to spread it themselves? If you used email, track open rates and click-through rates on links within the email pointing to the release or coverage.
Makes sense. And the fourth category. This has to be the bottom line, right? Conversions.
The ultimate proof. Conversion rates. This is where PR connects directly to business results. We need to track how many of those website visitors, the ones who came from the press release coverage, actually did something valuable. Did they sign up for a newsletter, request a demo, download a white paper, make a purchase? And the crucial part is tying it back. You need systems in place to connect that conversion to the specific press release campaign, ideally to the specific article they click through. That shows cause and effect.
Okay, that's a lot of different data points coming from different places. Media monitoring, web analytics, maybe even sales data. How do we pull this all together accurately? What's the essential tech stack we need?
Yeah, you need the right tools working together. It's about correlation, not just collecting numbers in silos.
Yeah.
So we mentioned media monitoring platforms already, Cision, Meltwater, mention. They track the mentions, help with sentiment, calculate that EMV.
Right, and for the web traffic.
Web analytics tools, with Google Analytics being the main one. But,
Yeah.
and this is a huge but, you absolutely must use custom UTM parameters on every single link you put in your press release.
UTM parameters. Explain why that's non-negotiable. What does it actually do?
Okay, UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module. It's just a bit of code you add to the end of the URL. It lets you tag visitors based on where they came from. So instead of just seeing referral traffic in Google Analytics, you can see traffic specifically from source press release vendor X, medium press release, campaign Q4 product launch.
Ah, so if TechCrunch picks up the story and links to your site using that UTM'd link.
You know exactly how many visitors, leads, and maybe even customers came specifically from that TechCrunch article. Without UTMs, it's often just a guess. You lose that crucial connection.
Okay, that's crystal clear. UTMs are essential. What about connecting it all the way to, like, actual revenue?
That's where CRM integration comes in. Your customer relationship management system, like Salesforce or HubSpot. If you capture a lead from your website, and that lead originally came from a UTM-tagged link from press coverage, your CRM can track that person's entire journey. From reading the news, to becoming a lead, talking to sales, and finally becoming a paying customer. That gives you the full picture of the ROI, right down to the dollar amount generated by that PR activity.
Wow. Okay, so the tech stack lets us gather all this amazing data, but data is useless if you don't act on it, right? This isn't just for a report 3 months later.
Absolutely not. This data is actionable intelligence. You need to be looking at it frequently, especially right after the launch.
Yeah.
I'd say check your dashboards daily for the first week. You're looking for patterns, anomalies, opportunities.
Like what kind of immediate correction could you make?
Well, remember that client example. They saw tons of social shares, great buzz, but almost no clicks to their website. A quick look showed the call to action in the release was weak and buried. We helped them revise it, make it stronger, more prominent, repitched it slightly. The click-through rate immediately jumped. That's real-time optimization based on data.
That's a fantastic example. So beyond those quick fixes, what are the bigger strategic things we should always be thinking about to maximize ROI from every single press release?
3 key areas come to mind for ongoing optimization. First, SEO optimization. Don't just write the release. Think about search engines. Weave relevant keywords naturally into the headline, the subheadline, and especially that crucial first paragraph.
Yeah.
If Google indexes your release well, it can keep driving organic traffic long after the initial news buzz dies down. It gives it a longer shelf life.
Good point. Second,
Calls to action. CTAs. We just touched on this, but it deserves focus. Your CTA needs to be crystal clear, compelling, and tell people exactly what to do next. Avoid vague stuff, like learn more. Be specific. Download the free report now. Request your personalized demo. Visit our booth, #123 at the conference. Action-oriented.
Okay. SEO, strong CTAs. What's the third area?
Third, social media promotion. Don't just rely on journalists picking it up. Amplify it yourself. Share the news immediately on your own channels. Create different snippets for different platforms, maybe a quote graphic for Instagram, a short video for LinkedIn. Tag the journalists or outlets who covered you. Tag relevant influencers. Keep the momentum going. Use it as fuel.
Right, amplify the amplification. Okay, so
Right.
we've got strategy, we're tracking everything, we're optimizing. Now comes the crucial step, reporting back. We need to talk to the stakeholders, the execs, the people holding the purse strings.
Yeah.
And they care about business impact, not just, how many retweets we got. How do we translate all these metrics into a story they actually care about?
That's key. Stakeholder reporting isn't just dumping data. It's about building a narrative that connects PR activity directly to business value. You need to structure your report or presentation strategically.
How should we kick it off? What grabs their attention?
Start strong with an executive summary. Don't bury the lead. Highlight the biggest wins right up front, tied directly back to those smart objectives you set. Show, don't just tell. Use visuals, charts, graphs. Show the spike in website traffic right after the release date. Show the growth in positive media mentions compared to the baseline. Make it easy to digest.
And always compare it back to where we started, right? That baseline.
Absolutely. Include comparative analysis. Show the before and after. Compare to previous campaigns if possible. Context is everything. But the most powerful part, revenue correlation. This is where you connect the dots. Tell the story. This specific press release resulted in 25 high-quality media placements. Those placements drove 500 qualified leads via UTM tracking. Of those leads, our sales team closed 12 deals, generating X dollars in new revenue.
That's the connection they need to see. From press release to paycheck.
Exactly. That makes the PR budget undeniable.
And what about that sentiment metric we tracked? How do we frame the value of positive buzz?
Frame it as building a core business asset, trust and credibility. Positive sentiment isn't just warm fuzzies. It directly impacts buying decisions, especially for big purchases or in B2B. Showcasing improved brand perception demonstrates that PR is strengthening the foundation upon which sales are built. It's a measurable increase in brand equity.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for everyone listening? Measuring PR success isn't some annoying chore you do afterwards. It sounds like it needs to be baked into the whole process, an ongoing commitment.
That's exactly it. It's a continuous loop. You set clear, measurable goals up front. You diligently track the right things, especially those conversions using UTMs and CRM integration. You use the data to optimize constantly, and you report the results in terms of real business impact. Get that loop going, and you ensure every press release, every bit of effort and budget truly counts. And you can prove it.
And that CRM integration you mentioned, tracking a lead all the way from reading an article to becoming a customer, that opens up another level, doesn't it? It makes me think. If you can truly connect specific sales back to specific press coverage, are you then equipped to go even further and calculate the actual customer lifetime value that was generated purely because of that PR? Thinking about the long-term revenue impact, not just the initial sale, that really shows the compounding power of consistent strategic press efforts, something to really mull over.